In 1947, Great Britain, the ones in charge of Palestine since 1920, wanted to end their control and set the ex-colony free. However, it was clear that gaining independence would only escalate the violence and trigger more war. With the intensification of conflicts between the Arab and Jewish populations, the responsibility of finding a solution to the Palestinian problem fell upon the United Nations. While Britain was unwilling to establish an independent Jewish homeland in Palestine, the two superpowers of the post-World War II era, the Soviet Union and the United States of America, both supported a two-state solution, with separate states for Jews and Arabs in Palestine. The Soviet Union, recognizing the historical connection between the Jewish people and the land of Palestine, defended the Jews' right to establish their own state. During the voting session on the two-state plan in November 1947, the Soviet ambassador to the United Nations, Andrei Gromyko, emphasized this historical link. Consequently, the Soviet Union was the first country to grant de jure recognition to Israel on May 17, 1948, 3 days after its declaration of independence. In the midst of the First Arab-Israeli War in 1948, while the U.S. imposed an arms embargo on the region, the Soviet Union unofficially provided substantial military support to Israel. This assistance included the supply of captured German weapons during World War II, such as rifles, mortars, and even Messerschmitt fighter planes, facilitated through Czechoslovakia. Initially, the Soviet Union's support for the establishment of a Jewish state was motivated by Stalin's desire to exploit the growing conflict between Jews and British authorities in Palestine. Stalin saw an opportunity to win the support of the Jewish population and create an allied entity in the Middle East to challenge British influence. The Soviet Union also aimed to utilize Israel as a base for spreading socialist ideals throughout the region, as many Arab and Islamic ruling regimes were associated with British influence. However, Israeli-Soviet relations deteriorated rapidly when Golda Meir, the first Israeli ambassador to the Soviet Union, requested permission for large-scale immigration of Soviet Jews to Israel. Stalin categorically rejected this request, believing that Soviet Jews, like all citizens, were content and secure within the borders of the Soviet Union. Stalin dismissed the notion of religious-based immigration to a promised land. This rejection led Israel to forge stronger ties with Western powers, particularly the United States. The Soviet authorities viewed this shift in allegiance as a betrayal, as the state they had helped create and defended transformed into an ally of anti-Soviet Western capitalist powers, rather than a state aligned with Soviet influence and socialism in the Middle East. In response, the Soviets initiated campaigns of persecutions and arrests targeting numerous prominent Jewish figures. One notable example was the arrest and execution of 13 members of the Jewish Anti-Fascist Committee in the Soviet Union on charges of espionage. From the 1950s until the end of the Cold War, the official Soviet stance shifted from supporting Israel to becoming its staunchest adversary. The Soviet Union became the primary supporter of Arab countries in their military and diplomatic conflicts with Israel. Even following the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, Russia continued to play a significant role in supporting Arab nations in their ongoing conflict with Israel.